Okay, so today we covered some issues with savings and the file goes a different size. There is another video, um, but it was a specific case. So let's do this one. So basically, and I'll go through the process. I have my folder here, OneDrive, and in the folder I have all the files. Don't ignore these are finished, but I just grabbed a bunch of photos. I honestly, um, what I do is I use Bridge, and there's a little bit of an explanation, but I'll do Bridge first. So Bridge is a viewer, okay, and it allows you to view any kind of file. So if you have PDFs or whatever it is, a movie, it will show you what it is, and you don't have to import as you do in Lightroom. This is so if I have to, let me make sure I don't send you on a job. So for instance, I open this folder and I have all the information, another set of folders. Let's see what we have. So it just reads the information. It doesn't you don't have to import, just read and then you can get out. Okay, so we're gonna go to OneDrive. I have photos. This is usually where I start. Adobe Bridge is included in your subscription, so it's free, but it's a good place to navigate, and I'll show you after. Um, it's a good place to export from. Uh, that's the way I use it. It's very easy. So if I do 30 images or 10 images or whatever it is, I can just once I've done the work, I can actually just save to the size I want. Um, in just seconds, and the computer will do it. I don't have to open the photos, the computer will do whatever. Okay, so this is where I would work my files, and my files would be 87, 88, blah blah blah, and I would go from there. So the on the left is your three folders. This is your where things are, and on the bottom is a set of filters, so you don't have to worry about that. In the center is a preview. If the preview is, these are floatable windows that you can move. So let me see if I can move one. Usually there's just panels and you move them. So let me move the filters. So I can put the filters. So now I have the filters and the preview. I'm going to put the and so on. So I'm going to click on my basically my contact sheets, and the way you view it. So if you're not sure, it's a workspace, collection, content, export, favorite, workspace, libraries, which is the same thing as this, output, metadata, workflow, essential. So but usually I basically with the essential, and it so I go with that, and I can just double click. I don't have to say open in Photoshop. I do double click and it will automatically open in Photoshop because it's embedded into the software. Okay, so let's do a few things with this image. I'm not going to retouch. I'm gonna show you how to do much on this, but let's do. I will just do a label and I'll do an adjustment. Okay, so I have my tool palette here. So I know you do. If you're missing it, just go to tools and it will be. Um, and then on the top is usually the information related to the tool you're using, whether you're using a brush, like in this case, and I can see that my brush is a tool. That's the softness of the brush. I can make it harder, which is harder edge. I rarely use harder edge, but I do, do change that. Um, and then the size of the brush. So you can see this is at 130. We're going to go to 2100, and that's the way you can change it. I don't use this too much. I use the shortcuts, which is the left bracket and the right bracket. So you can see if I use the left bracket, the brush is getting smaller, and I use my right bracket to make it bigger. Okay, but we'll use this in a second. I'm going to go to image adjustment, and I'm going to go levels. There we go, levels. And just remember that this represent the black, this represent the middle gray, and this represent the white. So the whites are fine, the blacks are not. So I could just disregard everything, and even if I don't look at the photo, I know that this is where it should be. And now the black seem a little better. Okay, so I'm going to show you the difference between the tools I use and this one. So I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to go to the adjustment tool on the bottom right. Okay, and I'm going to go to levels, and I can see that level looks a little different. And on top of that, you have this window which we didn't have on this one. So let me just go to level, and you can see here you have a big window, but you don't have the tools on the bottom. So I don't actually use the adjustment, so I'm going to cancel. I don't use this tool for this reason. I use this path to get to the tool I want. So it's on the bottom right in the palette with layers and stuff. So layers, and if it doesn't show, just go to window and just add whatever tool you want. Okay, whatever palette you want. Gradient, histogram, navigator. Navigator is useful. This is the navigator. But anyway, this is where we are. And the reason why is I can make some adjustment, and I can just put the eye on and off, eye on and off. Okay, so I like this. I think the blacks are blacks. Of course, Sanchi's face is too dark. So I'm going to take this, ignore this step, but this is, so we'll do this. I'm going to start from scratch. So in Photoshop, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the right. I'm going to go with level, and I'm going to go to make the blacks to where they are. It could be the white or whichever set of information I need to adjust. Okay. Once I've done that, I can look, and obviously doesn't work. This is way too dark. So I'm not going to change anything. This looks great except for his face. So I'm going to make another adjustment. I'm going to close this, and I'm going to make another adjustment, not a mask, sorry, another adjustment, and I'm going to go another level. And this time I'm going to take the middle tone, which is skin tone should be, and I'm going to make it brighter. So it looks better, but it looks a little flat, meaning not too much gray. So let me just put it this way. I'm going to play with it to make sure. So let's say I think his face is better like this, so I'm going to go with that. But I don't like the outside. So now we're going to look at we're going to come back to this. But let's say you've done all the work. I haven't looked at sizes, any changes. Let's say I want to save it. So the initial easy thing would be save, which you want. You want to save a copy, and I'll show you. Or you can save a copy. So a save a copy is going to say, where do you want to save this? What format do you want to save this as? I would save it as a JPEG, copy, blah, 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 yada, yada. Waste of my time. I want to save this, so in case Michael calls back and say, hey, Bruno, we didn't go crazy with this. Can you make this adjustment? Okay, I can go back. So to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save the image, and I'm going to save it as a Photoshop or TIFF. Okay, these two will allow me to save the layers. So I'm going to save it as a Photoshop PSD. Okay, and so I can not go searching for a long time. I'm going to flag it as a RAID. Okay, so now I am done, and the image is right here. I'm going to put it as a 5-star so I know what it is. And Michael sends me an email and says, Bruno, this face looks better, but you didn't retouch it, or his vest or sweater is a little gray. Can you fix that? So I have saved all the work I've done into a multiple layered file so I can go back and change. Okay? And I say, oh yes, what did I do? I completely forgot to retouch. So to retouch, I would click on my background there, my main image, and I would create a blank layer. So to create a blank layer, again, this tool palette where it says layer is the most important. This is where this is the garage where you go, and the toolbox where you go get your tools, where you do everything. Okay, and I'm going to repeat. I think I've done this. So this is trash. So I would trash whatever layer is selected, and you can see it's selected by being outlined in gray. So in this case, the background. That would be the trash. The next icon is a plus. It's adding a layer. So I'm going to add a layer in this case. This makes it a group, and I can show you the group later on. I use the group a lot in my work. I don't know if you need to, but this is a group. And then my adjustment layers are all right here. And this is where I would go. I would not go to the main menu on the top. This is where I would go, and so I would suggest you do that. You don't have to. You do whatever works for you, but I would suggest this. And then the mask. And then the mask is all these are extremely important. These are the stuff you're going to need all the time. So I made a blank layer, and I would do all my retouching on a blank layer. So I would use the two tools that we've used and that I show in the basic retouching and stuff. So in this case, I'm going to go gel, retouch, blah, blah, blah. All this is great. Goes very quick. I'm done. Okay. Now I'm going to close and save. I'm not saving for Michael yet. I'm just saving the work I've done on the file. Okay. Before I do that, I'm going to show you a little bit of what was done before. So Michael said, well, the face is good, but the sweater is a little gray. Oh, the sweater is much better here. Maybe a little dark. So I'm going to use a mask, okay? So let's use a face here. And so we have our tool. This is the window, the viewer. This is the navigator, and below is our layers. I have to select the layer I'm going to work on. And the top layer is the one I'm going to work on. I can see that it's being seen. So it's showing. Okay. So just think of a projector. And I'm working with multiple projectors to project one image. I used to do this when I first started my career. This is a true story. We went on a photo shoot. I was an assistant. I was not a photographer. And the photographer, we got nothing, absolutely nothing. And we're shooting for merit, and it's, you know, a lot of money involved, but we got nothing. Well, we got, you know, a puddle, and we got some mountains, and we got some people, and this gentleman had 10 projector, and he would project this image on the screen, and he would start blocking, putting cards in front of, well, we want the puddle here with the rock that looks beautiful, but we don't want the background. And he would put a flag or a piece of paper in front of the projection of that slide, and would block off the mountain. So now I could project, it's just a puddle. Then he would say, well, I want the mountain in the background, and I want this, and he would basically project all this image and block off certain area, and then he would go to retoucher for fine tuning. But he would do this, and I was like, man, this is amazing. Now we do it with Photoshop. Just think as we're projecting an image, seeing it by using the eye, or not seeing it by removing the eye, okay? However, we do not want every part of this image affecting this layer, affecting every part of this image. So what am I going to do? I'm going to mask. I am going to hide. Now, the next step, remember, white lets the information through. Black blocks off the information. Okay? I am not going to go any further. Just remember, black and white, and that's all we're going to work with, because you could be working with light gray and stuff, but we're going to start with black and white. Okay, so I have my mask selected. Right now I'm going to move this way now, okay? And I have, right now my level is selected, useless, except I can see. And the reason why I'm using this area to select my adjustment is because I can apply certain things, deleting, hiding, and also applying only to a specific layer. So this is really important, and that's the way we do it. But anyway, now the white line tells me that this is selected, and I'm going to select the mask, and now you're going to see the mask is now white, okay? I'm going to click my brush, so I can go to this tool palette. I'm going to make it closer so you don't have to. Or I can click the letter B, and the letter B gets me to, and you can see if I click B, now I'm on the cursor. If I click B, I'm on the brush, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my brush bigger, and I'm going to paint black. And as I paint black, you can see that the effect that I applied in my level right here is, oh, my mask, look at my mask. It's actually like, whoa, I can see what I painted. And also just remember, my brush is at 7, the softness of my brush is 0. I'm using a blending mode, and I'm not going to get into this, but it's normal. Keep it at normal. But my opacity is 80%. Wow, that's why you can, if you look right here, you don't think it's pure black, which is great. I think this works. So maybe work at 80% to start with. So I want to check the work I did before I go too far. Remove. This is the face. I guess the face is definitely better than this. And this is the adjustment. This is the adjustment we had. This is without any adjustment. This is adjustment for the blacks and the overall. And this is the adjustment for the face. Okay? So these are the masks. So at this point, and then retouching. If you are not sure and you have the time, I usually basically rename. So you double click on this and you say retouch. Then you're going to say here, this is for the face and this is for the outside. And honestly, I used to ask my student, because this is like very, very simple. I mean, sometimes we have like 20, 30 layers where you're like, okay, well, I'm adjusting just for this or just for that. So at this point, I am done. I'm going to save, okay? I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm going to save. And I'm going to close. Once it's done, I'm going to close, okay? I am back in Bridge, and I am going to, I have like 30 photos that I want to export. And I don't want to open every one of them, save as, I don't want to screw up. So this is the way I'm going to do. And I'm going to select a few extra just to make sure so you can see. So let's say you finish your day. I have 3 selected. You will have more. And in Bridge, okay? So we have our 3 photos. This is the way I would do it, okay? So I'm going to go slow. Then you can just take it as is, okay? Tools, Photoshop, and of course it doesn't give me Photoshop for some. Oh yes, I'm sorry. Photoshop, okay? I have all these options. I'm going to use the image processor, okay? And the image processor asks me a few questions. First, select image to process. Process from Bridge only, ignore. Select the folder for your destination. I'm going to say save in the same folder. Or maybe I can say, hey, you know what? Save in the final folder. So I'm done. I know these are done. Okay. And this is where sometimes files get screwed up. Keep the quality at 12. Save as JPEG 12. Don't do anything. Don't run anything. Don't change anything here. All we're doing, we're going to take all these photos, and instead of me opening, saving, making sure they go to the right place, I'm just going to tell the computer, can you take all these files, just save them to this location, and I know I want them as JPEG, and I want the highest quality. And I'm going to say run. And I'm going to sit down, it's going to do the work, and I'm going to close. Okay? And I'm going to have to make sure. So I'm going to close. Now you can see that, you see this folder does not have an arrow because there's no folder within that folder. That was the case for OneDrive. But once I created the folder final, an arrow appeared. So I can click on it, and now I have my 3 images. They've been processed. And I didn't change the size, so whatever size they were initially, it should be exactly the same size. And I'm done. What I'd like to do now is to rename the file. So I'm going to go again using Bridge, not opening one after the other, yada, yada, yada. How tired. I'm going to go to Tools, okay? Batch Rename. And I'm going to use the file name, not so, new extension, current file name, sorry. Current file name, original case, yes, so, and then if you're not sure, you can see on the bottom, it just tells you the file name. So 67, and then right here, and then a text, and the text is going to be EN for enhance, and then whatever your initial you put, my case is BD, and I put enhance BD. If I want a little bit of space, I'm going to go, usually I prefer to have a little bit of space, so here we go. Enhance. Let me make sure I don't have. Yeah, you see, I didn't have a space. Now I have a space, and I like it like this. And I think that's the way it works for Michael. So now I'm going to say to the software, okay, rename, and there we go. I rename my files. So very easy, great way to work with Photoshop and Lightroom, and Bridge to process the files and rename them all in one without opening all the files. Okay, hope that helped.